The CEO's wife still doesn't know I've been reborn. Just like in my past life, she's offering me 5 billion to force a divorce. But I'm not going to be difficult like in my past life. Instead, I took the check directly and quickly signed the divorce agreement. It's because in my past life, Xia Qingshui wanted to run away with that poor student, so she repeatedly offered me a high price to leave. But I stubbornly refused, rejecting her with just one sentence. We said a lifetime, not a minute or a second less. Because of that, at the age of 23, Xia Qiang was forced to leave with a broken heart, turning his back and heading to a foreign land. Unexpectedly, he was in a plane crash along the way and his remains were never found. Xia Qingshui lost the one she loved forever. To avenge her moonlight, she brought down all of the Fang family's corporations. My parents were forced to commit suicide and I was tortured by Xia Qingshui for a whole year. My life also came to an end. The heavy snow buried my body. Before I died, I saw Xia Qiang, who had come back from the dead, crying as he rushed into Xia Qingshui's arms. Qingshui, I'm not dead. That plane crash into the sea, I was rescued by someone. I finally found you. At the same time, a cold, mechanical voice echoed in my head. Fang Yuan, Xia Qingshui, and Xia Qiang are the fated male and female leads of this world. You are just a villainous supporting male character serving the plot. You cannot and do not deserve to force things that do not belong to you. Now, your storyline is entering its final stage. Countdown 10. It seemed like only 10 seconds had passed in the bar, but it felt like a lifetime. When I opened my eyes, I found I had been reborn. At that moment, Xia Qingshui's special assistant was standing next to me, pushing a bank card in front of me. Mr. Fang, this is the third time I've come on behalf of Ms. Xia to negotiate the termination of the sponsorship contract. This time, Xia Qingshui is offering a straight 5 billion. After the special assistant finished her lines, she saw my pensive look, and thinking I was about to refuse again, she bent down to pack her things, preparing to leave. But I stopped her. I agree. The special assistant's eyes widened, her gaze filled with astonishment. I decisively signed the agreement, took the bank card, and put it in my pocket. After seeing the special assistant off, my hands were trembling. I hastily called my parents, telling them to arrange for permanent residency abroad and transfer all our assets. I want to take them away, to never return to this place again. My parents were stunned. I made an excuse, saying, last night I had a nightmare. It said if we stay in the country, our family will be ruined. The two of them couldn't talk me out of it, so they finally had to agree. After hanging up, just as I wiped my tears, Xia Qingshui, who had been gone for a long time, pushed the door open and entered. Seeing my teary eyes, her expression turned cold. Thinking I hadn't signed, she quickly explained, breaking the contract is my fault. 5 billion is enough compensation. She asked me what else I was dissatisfied with. I was a bit stunned. Only then did I realize the special assistant hadn't told Xia Qingshui that I'd agreed to break the contract. Just as I was about to explain, Xia Qingshui didn't give me the chance, frowning as she pulled me out the door. The car sped along, stopping outside the hospital. I was dragged to the emergency room, where I heard the doctor say, Mr. Xia's kidney transplant surgery is about to begin. I then remembered that in my past life, Xia Qiang indeed had a car accident, which ruptured his kidney, and he had surgery. During that time, Xia Qingshui didn't come back once, so of course, I remembered it very clearly. But what does this have to do with me? Why did Xia Qingshui bring me here? I suddenly shuddered. Could it be that she brought me here because she wants me to donate a kidney to Xia Qiang? Xia Qingshui glanced at me, her voice cold. You're not donating, I am. You're donating? I was extremely surprised. Xia Qingshui looked up at the figure of the frail man in the operating room. Xia Qiang's kidney ruptured in a car accident, and only my test results are a match. Even though I was determined to leave, hearing that Xia Qingshui would go to such lengths for Xia Qiang, my heart still ached with a pang of pain. Do you love him that much? Yes, which is why I brought you here. You will stay right in front of me and not do anything to harm Xia Qiang at this critical moment. After speaking, Xia Qingshui had the bodyguards hold me back, changed her clothes, and entered the operating room alone. The red light came on, the surgery began. I sat numbly on the chair, my heart aching with every beat. A few nurses walked by, talking about a TV drama. This supporting male character is so annoying, he deserved to go bankrupt and crazy in the end. Doesn't she know the male and female leads are fated to be together? I listened quietly, a faint smile on my lips, a bitter and lonely smile. That's right. The male and female leads are fated to be together, so in this life, a villainous supporting character like me won't play along with them anymore. The surgery was a success. Seeing the operating room light go off, I stood up to leave, but was held back by the bodyguards. Ms. Xia said, before he wakes up, you are not to take a single step away. I was forced to sit down and continue waiting. Time passed, minute by minute, second by second. My stomach suddenly started cramping violently, my face contorted, and sweat dripped down drop by drop. I'm not feeling well. Could you get me some medicine? For gastroenteritis or a cup of hot water? The bodyguard was expressionless, his attitude firm. No. Mr. Fang, no matter what happens to you, we cannot leave here. This is Ms. Jia's order. I was in so much pain that I fell to the ground, only able to bite my lip and endure the pain. When my consciousness was fading in and out, I felt the cold floor. Miss Xia is awake. Mr. Fang, you can now go and ask her for permission to leave. My whole body was exhausted. My clothes were soaked with sweat and sticking to me, a feeling of cold spreading through me. I forced myself to stand up, dragging my tired body to the patient's room. I immediately heard Xia Qiang's soft voice. King Shui, why do you look so weak, as if you're sick? Oh, right. Have you found the kind person who donated a kidney to me? I want to thank them in person. Otherwise, I might not have woken up. Xia King Shui's hand holding the spoon paused and then quickly returned to normal. It's nothing. It's just that when you were in the operating room between life and death, I was too worried, so I look pale. The kidney donor has passed away. I will thank their family on your behalf. You don't need to worry. I've already handled everything. Xia Qiang was deeply moved and threw himself into Xia Qingshui's arms. He probably pressed on Xia Qingshui's wound as her face turned several shades paler from the pain, but she still tried to act calm and continued to feed him porridge. Oh, right. Didn't the bodyguard just say Fang Yuan has gastroenteritis? Did he pass out from the pain? Aren't you going to check on him? As soon as she heard my name, Xia Qingshui's expression immediately darkened. It's definitely his trick of pretending to be sick to gain sympathy. No need to pay him any attention. The people in the room didn't know I was outside. Xia Qiang ate a few spoonfuls of porridge and didn't want any more. This porridge isn't good. It's too bland. I remember at the gate of our university, there was a porridge shop. I used to eat there every morning. It's been a long time since I've had it. I miss it a little. Seeing the nostalgic look on Xia Qiang's face, Xia Qingshui immediately put down the bowl, stood up, and grabbed the car keys. He'll go buy it for you. No need. Just have someone else go for such a small thing. Xia Qingshui shook her head, helped Xia Qiang lie down, and tucked him in. As long as it's related to you, the places you've been, the food you've eaten, the scenery you've seen, I want to see it all for myself. Wait for me. I'll be right back. Xia Qingshui pushed open the door, saw me, and the smile on her face immediately froze, then turned cold again. What are you doing here? Are you trying to make things difficult for Xia Qiang again? Looking at Xia Qingshui's expression, my fingertips trembled. I took a light breath. I came to tell you, from now on, I won't make things difficult for Xia Qiang anymore. You can be completely at ease. Xia Qingshui always doubted my word, and this time was no exception. You want me to be at ease? Then let's completely terminate our contract and set me free. After saying that, Xia Qingshui turned to leave, not hearing my mumble. Xia Qingshui, I have already set you completely free. When I got home, I ate a simple meal and then started cleaning the house. Most of the things were mine. Xia Qingshui only had a few things. The windbreaker I bought for her, cosmetics, perfume, a water cup, a toothbrush. I didn't keep a single thing. Along with the candid photos of us, the love letters from our youth and other miscellaneous items were all thrown away. The villa was cleaned out. That day, Xia Qingshui returned, and as soon as she walked in, she noticed something was off. She looked around. Where are my things? Thrown away. I was very honest. Xia Qingshui glanced at me indifferently, her eyes narrowing slightly. I've only been gone for a few days, and you're already acting childish again. The things I threw away were all things I bought. I didn't touch your things. Besides, you rarely used them anyway, so I threw them away. Xia Qingshui thought I was complaining about her breaking the contract. Her eyebrows furrowed slightly, her tone turning a few degrees colder. I've said it before, I don't want to abide by that contract anymore, and I don't want to be with you for a lifetime. Think it over carefully and sign it. Hasn't the special assistant told you yet? Last time Before I could finish my sentence, Xia Qiang walked in. Mr. Fang Qingshui has been at the hospital taking care of me this whole time, which is why she couldn't come back. If you're angry, just blame me. Xia Qingshui quickly helped Xia Qiang up. Xia Qiang, he and I were only ever an exchange of benefits. There are no real feelings. You don't need to apologize. My heart tightened. That's right. In Xia Qingshui's eyes, there's only money and benefits between us. That's why she repeatedly raised the price to leave. The one who gave real feelings was only me. I looked at the affectionate gaze Xia Qingshui directed at Xia Qiang and suddenly turned back to my room. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Xia Qiang walked in with coffee. Mr. Fang, Qingshui is in a meeting. I've made some coffee and prepared some for you as well. I also wanted to talk to you for a bit. In my past life, I had bluntly refused and kicked Xia Qiang out. But now that I've decided to leave, facing Xia Qiang, my attitude was calm. What do you want to talk about? Xia Qiang nervously clenched his fists, his eyes filled with sorrow. I know you and Qingshui are childhood sweethearts, but feelings can't be forced. You use a contract to tie her to your side, she feels tormented, and you don't get the love you want. In the end, you both just get hurt. Is this the result you want to see? My gaze became complicated, staring at Xia Qiang, and let out a silent laugh. What right do you have to say these things to me? I just love Qingshui as deeply as you do. I don't want to see her tormented. She doesn't like you. Your existence makes her remember her most painful years. She wants to escape your cage and also wants to escape that dark past. She's so proud, never letting others see her wounds, yet unable to escape her psychological trauma. That's why when she faces you, her mood is so gloomy. I was stunned. For the first time, I understood why Xia Qingshui wanted to run away so badly. I thought that sharing hardships was the fertile ground for love. For Xia Qingshui, it was a nightmare. And yet Xia Qingshui showed Xia Qiang her most vulnerable side, the deepest secrets of her heart. But I had never stepped into Xia Qingshui's world. This realization made the bitterness in my heart surge, and those attachments I couldn't let go of instantly turned to ashes. I didn't want to seem weak in front of Xia Qiang, but I couldn't control my grief. I forced myself to stand up, wanting to leave. Xia Qiang thought I was refusing to communicate and hurriedly chased after me, wanting to stop me. Mr. Fang, I just wanted to tell you. Before he could finish, Xia Qiang, in his panic, bumped into the shelf by the wall, and several vases fell on me. I groaned and fell to the ground, my face deathly pale, the pain so intense I could barely breathe. Xia Qiang was terrified, still unable to react when he was scared back by the dog that rushed to protect its owner, making him stumble back repeatedly. He was bitten by a dog as a child, so seeing this big golden retriever, he reflexively turned and ran. The dog chased closely behind him. Xia Qiang twisted his ankle and fell down the stairs. His scream echoed through the villa. Xia Qingshui heard the noise and ran out, and seeing this scene, her pupils suddenly constricted. She rushed down and hugged Xia Qiang. Seeing the bloody wound on his forehead, she was heartbroken. She lifted her red-rimmed eyes, staring at the dog on the stairs, anger blazing. I heard the tragic scream, and suppressing the pain, I crawled up to see what had happened. As soon as I got out, I heard the uncontrolled shout of Xia Qingshui. Xia Qiang just had surgery, his body is weak, and he's so afraid of dogs. Why did you let your dog out to bite people? I never expected things to turn out like this. I was in so much pain I couldn't breathe. I could only whisper weakly. He bumped into the vase first. Rong only chased him because he saw I was hurt. You know, Rong is usually very well behaved. He's so scared of strangers. It's only because he was worried about me. Enough. I don't want to hear these meaningless excuses anymore. If you can't control your dog and cause Xia Qiang to be so seriously injured, then beat it to death to prevent it from causing trouble again. Xia Qingshui didn't listen to my explanation at all and directly called the bodyguards. Seeing the large men walking towards Rong immediately became alert. A chill ran through my body. I instinctively wanted to hug Rong to beg them to spare him, but the bodyguards showed no mercy. They pushed me against the wall and went to catch the dog. Rong saw this, went into a frenzy and charged forward. The bodyguard hit him with an electric baton. He was beaten until he was covered in blood, but he still barked fiercely, trying to save me. The bodyguard grabbed his leg, lifted him up. He struggled with all his might, wanting to escape. But the bodyguard let go, and Rong from the second-floor hallway fell straight onto the marble floor of the first floor. My whole world collapsed. I staggered downstairs to hug Rong, but I only saw his pupils gradually fade. He nuzzled my hand one last time and then closed his eyes. At that moment, my heart shattered. I hugged his cold body, tears streaming down my face, and looked towards Xia Qingshui. If you hate me, then hate me. Why are you so cruel? Did you have to push him to his death? He clearly did nothing wrong. But Xia Qingshui's heart was only filled with the unconscious Xia Qiang. She gave me a cold glance. He's not wrong because it's all your fault. Do you think that because he died for you, you can escape punishment? Let me tell you, I will absolutely not let Xia Qiang suffer in vain. After speaking, Xia Qingshui called the bodyguards and gave a few orders. The ambulance, the silent sound. She didn't care about anything else and took Xia Qiang away. Rong's crippled leg dangled in my palm. Watching Xia Qingshui's retreating figure, I cried until my voice was hoarse. Xia Qingshui, that year you were cornered in an alley by creditors. Rong, to save you, was beaten and tortured by those people. He broke a leg, which is why he became so afraid of strangers. He liked you so much. When you were at your loneliest and most helpless, he stood guard by your side day after day, stayed by your side, got through so many long nights with you, and waited for you to come home every day. Why are you so heartless? The only reply I got was the bodyguard's cold voice. Mr. Fang, Mrs. Xia said, that you let your dog bite someone, so you must be taken to the cold storage room to reflect on your actions. After speaking, 3 men dragged me and threw me into the cold storage. I hugged Rong's body tightly, my bloodshot eyes empty, numb, cold. The cold rushed in, as if seeping into my very bones. I was so cold I was shaking all over, the moisture condensing into frost on my body, my skin as pale as snow. Time slowly passed. My heartbeat slowed down, and I finally lost consciousness. I don't know how much time passed. When I woke up, I found myself in the hospital. The doctor was adjusting the IV drip, his tone serious. Why did you lock yourself in a cold storage? If you were found 2 minutes later, you would have frozen to death. Hearing the words frozen to death, that bone-chilling cold came rushing back. It felt like it had never left my body. I remembered my past life. After being hit by Xia Qingshui's car and having my organs crushed, I was buried alive in the snow and froze to death. Now starting over, I almost died in the same way again. Could it be that as long as I love Xia Qingshui or get close to her, I will be infinitely close to death? And also drag down myself and everything I care about will not have a good end? Remembering my parents being forced off a cliff to save me in my past life, and Rong falling to his death right before my eyes. My heart ached again. My index finger dug so deep into my palm that it drew blood. Just as I was grieving, my parents called. Fang Yuan, your father and I have already transferred all the assets in the country abroad. The immigration papers have also been submitted. They should be approved next week. We'll have the results soon. Are you sure you want to immigrate abroad? That Xia Qingshui, don't you like her very much? I stared blankly at the white wall above me. My voice was like a pool of stagnant water, without a single ripple. In this life, I will never, ever like Xia Qingshui again. As soon as the words left my mouth, Xia Qingshui pushed the door open and walked in. She looked at me with a complex expression. The moment our eyes met in midair, I recoiled as if electrocuted. After so many years of knowing each other, in Xia Qingshui's impression, I was like a tireless spinning top, revolving around her 24 hours a day. I shamelessly, time and time again, told her I liked her, looking at her with earnest eyes full of love. This utterly disgusted her, so she desperately wanted to drive me away, even hoping that this passionate love of mine could be transferred to someone else. But when I really said I didn't love her, and really started to avoid her, she wasn't as happy as she had imagined. On the contrary, she felt a little vexed. She didn't know where this feeling came from, nor did she want to show it in front of me. So she maintained her cold, unapproachable demeanor. You don't like me anymore? Then why did you harm Xia Qiang? Why do you keep feigning illness to get my attention? Why won't you sign that contract? The doctor said you were seriously injured, but you look fine to me. You still have the energy to put on this show for me. Faced with Xia Qingshui's mocking questions, I lowered my eyes. My hoarse voice carried endless fatigue. Every word I said was true. It's true that I don't like you, and it's also true that I'm sick. And as for the contract you've been dreaming of, I've already signed it. As soon as I finished speaking, the Fang family's butler walked in. Young master, the wedding dress designs you asked, the designer to make for Xiao Xia last month, are finished. Please see if there are any changes needed. Xia Qingshui was so angry she laughed. She took the thick stack of sketches and tore them to shreds right in front of me. Then she turned and left under the butler's astonished gaze, leaving only one sentence behind. If you don't understand what true words are, then let me teach you. These wedding dresses, I don't like any of them. With a slam, the door shut. The butler looked at me helplessly. Young master, I'll have the designer send another set of designs right away. I shook my head gently and called the butler back. There's no need. All the surprises and gifts that I prepared for Xia Qingshui before, cancel them all. It's not needed anymore. After all, I'm about to disappear from her world. I just need to endure for one last week. I was discharged from the hospital that afternoon. I took Vin to the crematorium. The big dog that was always by my side, obedient to me, was now an urn of ashes. I brought the urn home, looking at the toys it had left on the sofa, and stared blankly for a long time. Countless memories flooded my mind. Sometimes it was Vin happily fetching for me the gift that Xia Qingshui had thrown away. Sometimes it was Vin when I was sad all night because of Xia Qiang staying by my side to keep me company. And sometimes it was him in my past life, living to the age of 15 and passing away peacefully, his eyes so serene. I closed my eyes, tears silently rolled down my cheeks, falling onto the floor. But this time, Vin will never obediently snuggle into my arms and rub against my hand to comfort me again. A few days later, it was the wedding of two friends from our circle. I received an invitation. I tried to pull myself together and dressed up a bit to attend the party. My friends saw that I looked unwell and came over to comfort me. Fang Yuan, Qingshui, has been taking Xia Qiang to visit his parents' graves recently, and even went with him to his hometown to meet his poor parents. But she must have been bewitched by that pretty boy. So don't worry, and don't be sad. You have the contract in hand, she definitely won't marry him. Just a country bumpkin, a dirt-poor pretty boy who wants to climb the social ladder. How is he better than you in any way? Qingshui is just having a temporary craving for something new. After all, for Xia Qingshui to get back on her feet, you were the most important person. I knew my friends were indignant on my behalf, but in this life, I understood that Xia Qingshui's love for Xia Qiang was unshakable, like a wall of bronze and iron. I didn't want to run my head into this wall anymore, and I didn't want my friends to suffer because of me. My contract with Xia Qingshui has been terminated. From now on, whoever she likes, whoever she wants to marry, has nothing to do with me. You guys should stop talking about Xia Qiang too. He is Xia Qingshui's fated male lead. No one can change that. I very seriously told my friends my current thoughts. My friends didn't believe me, all of them staring with wide eyes. You've liked her for almost 20 years. Are you really going to let go? Losing to someone like Xia Qiang, are you really willing to accept that? Xia Qiang is very good. He's 1,000 times better than any of you. He is sincere, kind, cheerful, lively, brave, and resilient. He is the only man I have ever liked and will love deeply for the rest of my life. In contrast, people like you who badmouth him behind his back are like sewer rats. Disgusting. The ice-cold voice of Xia Qingshui came from behind. Hearing the voice, I turned around and saw her gently holding Xia Qiang, whose eyes were red, in her arms. Then she made a phone call. Inform the project department immediately, terminate all project collaborations with the Gu family, the Shen family, the Fang family, and the Sheng family. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed, looking at her in astonishment. We didn't say anything. To reject so many business collaborations for one Xia Qiang, do you really need to make such a big deal out of it? Xia Qingshui looked up with eyes full of disgust. Her tone was extremely cold. Yes, Xia Qiang is my bottom line. Whoever dares to touch him will pay the price. Her gaze swept around, finally landing on me, full of threat. I knew she was just making an example of them to warn me. I gritted my teeth, wanting to speak up for my friends. Do you really have to do this? Xia Qingshui's voice was frighteningly cold. Anyone who slanders Xia Qiang will not have a good end. Having lived through a past life, I knew Xia Qingshui was telling the truth. I couldn't confront her head-on anymore. I led my friends away. Soon, the wedding ceremony began. Although there was some distance, I only had to look at the next table to see every action of Xia Qingshui and Xia Qiang. She would rinse the tea set and place it in front of Xia Qiang. She would serve him food, peel shrimp for him. She would take drinks on his behalf. Only when she was with Xia Qiang did Xia Qingshui shed her cold exterior, becoming so gentle and delicate, patient and thoughtful. The heart that I couldn't warm in over 10 years melted into tenderness in front of Xia Qiang. While I was in a daze, the wedding reached its final part, the bouquet toss. Xia Qiang merely looked at the bride's bouquet with admiration, and Xia Qingshui immediately pulled him into the crowd. I sat quietly in my seat, watching as Xia Qingshui used her agility to snatch the wedding bouquet from dozens of hands. After getting the flowers, she adjusted her clothes and solemnly presented them to Xia Qiang. There was no ring, it wasn't a proposal, but I knew that Xia Qingshui was just using her actions to declare to Xia Qiang and all the guests present that she, Xia Qingshui, had decided that in this life, besides Xia Qiang, she would marry no one else. In an instant, the eyes of the entire hall turned to me in unison. Faced with those gazes filled with pity, compassion, and ridicule, I raised my hand and led the applause. I sincerely hoped Xia Qingshui could get what she wished for. That way, I could go far away and live a peaceful life. After the wedding ended, I was about to go home when I ran into Xia Qingshui downstairs. The moment our eyes met, I immediately looked away, intending to take a detour, but she called out to me. About terminating the sponsorship contract, have you still not thought it through, or are you dissatisfied with the price? How much money do you want? You can just say it directly. Time and time again, I had lost the desire to explain myself to her. I lowered my head, my tone was calm, betraying no emotion. I also want to ask you, in your eyes, am I, along with my more than 10 years of feelings, something that can be completely dismissed with this money? If I take your money, will you and I draw a clear line in this life and never have to see each other again? Is that right? Those words silenced Xia Qingshui. She stared at me intently, indescribably complex emotions gradually appearing in her eyes. She wanted to tell me that she only wanted to end this abnormal relationship, not cut off all contact with me. But when she saw Xia Qiang coming out of the restroom, she swallowed the words on the tip of her tongue. She only said one word. Yes. Hearing her admit it with my own ears, my already numb heart still felt a bit suppressed and heavy, but I quickly adjusted my mood. Watching Xia Qingshui take Xia Qiang's hand, their 10 fingers intertwined, I nodded slightly, but I quickly adjusted my mood. Xia Qingshui took Xia Qiang's hand, their 10 fingers intertwined. I nodded slightly. I understand. Don't worry, I will do as you wish. In 5 days, you will have everything you want. 5 days? What 5 days? Xia Qingshui frowned and was about to ask me when I had already turned and left. Hearing Xia Qiang say he was hungry, she quickly pushed my words to the back of her mind. After returning home, I liquidated the last of the assets under my name. Game figures, villas, sports cars, I sold them all for cash. That night, it was pouring rain. I was packing my luggage when I suddenly heard a frantic knock on the door. I opened the door to see a drenched Xia Qiang crying as he knelt before me. Brother Fang, Qingshui fainted today and was taken to the emergency room. But because I'm not her family, I couldn't sign the emergency notice. I could only try to contact her young aunt abroad and almost made her miss the best window for treatment. She's still in the ICU now. You know her parents have passed away. She has no relatives by her side. I'm begging you, please terminate the contract and give her back her freedom, can you? I want to be her husband. I don't want to be unable to do anything in a critical moment like this, only able to watch helplessly as she waits to die. Faced with Xia Qiang's pleas, I remembered my past life. Xia Qingshui was also gravely ill at this time. After finding out I immediately moved her to the best private hospital and invited all the medical experts in the city. Only then did she avoid any major issues. Afterward, I didn't even take off my coat and took care of her day and night without rest. For days and nights, I was too tired to even stand up straight. But after Xia Qingshui woke up because I had scolded Xia Qiang a few times in my haste, she became angry and threw me out. So this time, I didn't go looking for trouble. I just pretended not to know anything. And Xia Qiang, an ordinary person with no background, family status, or connections, naturally had no way to keep a clear head in this critical moment, mobilize connections, and use so many effective emergency measures. Xia Qingshui would have to suffer a lot, and that was to be expected, but she was the female lead of this world after all, so the outcome would surely be that she'd be safe. So I spoke to Xia Qiang very calmly. Mr. Xia, do you like to watch idol dramas? In the dramas, after the male and female leads fall in love at first sight, they usually have to go through many trials before they can be together. It's the same for you and Xia Qingshui. But no matter what accidents you two go through, even if a supporting character like me gets in the way, it won't stop you two from being together. So you don't need to worry about Xia Qingshui's safety. You are her destined husband. You will grow old with her and be together for a lifetime. As for me, I won't create any more obstacles for you two. What you want, I gave to Xia Qingshui a long time ago. Please leave. Xia Qiang, his heart burning with anxiety, looked over with vacant eyes, completely not understanding what I was saying. I didn't explain further, just closed the door and went upstairs to rest. The rain fell all night. The next day when I went downstairs, I discovered Xia Qiang hadn't left, but had been kneeling in the courtyard all night. Xia Qiang's face was as pale as paper. His whole body was dazed, about to fall. Seeing his frail appearance, I was startled and was about to step forward to help him, but as I reached out, I was pushed away by the newly arrived Xia Qingshui. Xia Qingshui was still in her patient gown, her face devoid of color, but she still hugged Xia Qiang tightly. After she touched Xia Qiang's hot forehead, her gaze towards me immediately became sharp and icy. Fang Yuan, he has never offended you. In such heavy rain, you let him kneel all night. How can your heart be so cruel? Faced with Xia Qingshui's angry scolding, my hands clenched into fists, my voice filled with a deep sense of helplessness. It has nothing to do with me. I told him to go home last night. He was the one who silently knelt for hours on his own. What a convenient it has nothing to do with you. Xia Qiang is unconscious now. You can make up any excuse you want. He can't refute a single word. But you know what you did in your heart, and I know it too. So you don't need to find these seemingly plausible reasons. You had better pray that nothing happens to Xia Qiang. Otherwise, I will definitely make you pay the price. After her harsh scolding, Xia Qingshui took Xia Qiang to the hospital. She even had people force me into the car. Throughout the journey, Xia Qingshui's eyes never left. The unconscious Xia Qiang, the heartbreak in her eyes was almost overflowing. She kept urging the driver. The driver was sweating profusely, his nerves stretched to the breaking point. When going around a bend, the driver slammed on the gas, not noticing the sports car that suddenly appeared from behind. The next second, the two cars crashed head-on. I was in the passenger seat, taking the most severe impact. My head hit the car door, and I felt as if my internal organs were being displaced. The pain was unbearable. I was in so much pain I could barely breathe. My consciousness gradually faded amid the pain and chaos. My heavy eyelids drooped. The red of blood obscured my vision. Before I lost consciousness, through the shattered car window, I saw the back of Xia Qingshui helping a blood-covered Xia Qiang away. In a daze, the sound of ambulance sirens and the urgent voice of a doctor rang out. This injured person has a damaged artery and needs immediate surgery. Otherwise, his life will be in danger. Miss, are you sure you want to treat the patient with the high fever first? He has no life-threatening injuries. A slight delay in treatment won't be dangerous. Xia Qingshui's voice from outside the door reached my ears, becoming the last sound I heard before losing consciousness. I just need Xia Qiang to be safe. No matter how he's injured, you must save Xia Qiang first. The life or death of others has nothing to do with me. After escaping a long nightmare, I woke up to see my parents' tear-streaked faces. Fang Yuan, the doctor said, you almost didn't make it. Your father and I were so scared we nearly had a heart attack. Thank goodness you're okay. The joy of having survived the disaster immediately filled my heart. I couldn't help but cry too. The three of us hugged and sobbed for a long time before my parents calmed down. They gently wiped my tears. You were so seriously injured this time. Can we postpone going abroad for a month? Remembering everything that had happened since my rebirth, I was still terrified. I shook my head firmly, my attitude resolute against any delay. Mom, Dad, the medical conditions in Europe are also very good. Let's go there to rest. We'll stick to the original plan and leave tomorrow afternoon. On the last day, I asked my parents to go back to the villa to get the luggage and Vin's ashes. Two nurses, while doing their rounds, were chatting animatedly. I heard that the CEO of Xia Corporation booked all the rooms in our hospital and invited all the professors and experts from the hospital over just to take care of her boyfriend who only had a slight fever. That's so spoiling. It's just like an idol drama. Who is that man? To make someone like Xia Qingshui, who calls the shot in the capital, care so much. Do you know? The other nurse shook her head. Suddenly remembering something, her eyes lit up as she looked at me. You and that guy were brought in at the same time. Do you know him? Which family's young master is he? My eyelashes trembled slightly. I lowered my eye, my voice faint. I don't know him. Perhaps just as you said, he's the male lead of an idol drama. How would a supporting character NPC like me know? The nurses thought about it and agreed, then took the pillow from my hands and left while chatting. The room fell silent again. I picked up my phone and silently deleted all of Xia Qingshui's contact information. After finishing all this, my parents called to say they were almost at the hospital. The nurse helped me into a wheelchair and pushed me out of the hospital room. The moment the elevator doors opened, I saw Xia Qingshui's special assistant. The assistant nodded in greeting, holding up a file, her tone distant and polite. Mr. Fang, last time after you signed, I suddenly had to go on a business trip for half a month. This contract hasn't been submitted yet. Don't worry, I'll give it to CO Xia right now. I was about to speak when I heard Xia Qingshui's voice from behind. I turned at the sound and met her snow-cold eyes. How many times has it been? He still wants sign? The assistant froze and was about to speak when I interrupted her. I spoke as I took the file from the assistant's hand and personally handed it to Xia Qingshui. Seeing my expressionless face and the assistant's hesitant demeanor, a flicker of suspicion flashed in Xia Qingshui's eyes. She was just about to open this contract. The phone immediately rang. Qingshui, where did you go? The nurse said I should go for a checkup. Hurry back. The half-turned cover was silently closed. Xia Qingshui shoved the document folder back into the special assistant's hands. No need to look at it anymore. I know he definitely doesn't have the money. Next time, draft a new contract. Increase the price by 30 times. After giving her instructions, she turned her gaze back to me, her tone heavy and urgent. This is the 4th time I've raised the price. I hope you don't disappoint me this time. After speaking, she turned and walked straight towards the VIP hospital room. The special assistant looked at me with a bewildered expression. Mr. Fang? I heard Xia Qiang's voice, so I knew Xia Qingshui was rushing to be with the one she loves. I watched Xia Qingshui's retreating back and a relieved smile spread across my face. Except for Xia Qiang, nothing else in this world matters to her. As for me setting her free, the next time she wants to hear it, you can tell her. Ding! The elevator doors opened. My parents walked over to me with smiles, draped a coat over me, and then wheeled me out of the hospital, heading towards the airport. Outside, the sun was shining brilliantly. I raised my hand to catch that warm sunlight. The cold that had accumulated in my body for so long finally dissipated. Before boarding the plane, I took out 3 plane tickets and smiled at my parents. Mom, Dad, let's forget the past and start a new life. This time, I don't want to be a supporting character anymore. I want to be the only irreplaceable main character in my own life. Elsewhere, Xia Qingshui was gently consoling the crying Xia Qiang in front of her. There, didn't the doctor say? If you slowly recuperate, your test results will return to normal. Hugging Xia Qingshui with teary eyes, he looked at her. Qingshui, you'll take good care of me so I can recover quickly. The two of them held each other tightly, as if nothing in the world could tear them apart. A knock on the door interrupted their sweet embrace. Xia Qingshui's gaze turned to the special assistant standing at the door. She took the folder from the assistant's hand and casually opened it. He still hasn't signed it. Why are you giving it to me? Xia Qingshui flipped to the last page and froze when she saw the familiar signature at the bottom. Qingshui, what's wrong? Xia Qiang, beside her, leaned closer and also saw my signature. Xia Qingshui looked at the date next to the signature, her hand gripping the document folder tightly, her knuckles turning white. He signed it? Xia Qingshui's hand trembled slightly. She looked at the assistant in confusion. CO Xia, Mr. Fang signed it half a month ago and has already received the bank card. Hearing this, Xia Qiang was overjoyed and hugged Xia Qingshui tightly. That's great, Qingshui. We can finally be together. But Xia Qingshui wasn't as happy as he expected. She trembled slightly, and the folder in her hand fell to the hospital floor with a thud. You're saying he really signed it? The assistant in front of her looked surprised. Yes, CO Xia. Half a month ago, Mr. Fang personally signed it in front of me. The assistant saw the stunned expression on Xia Qingshui's face and hastily added, Don't worry, CO Xia. The signature has been notarized by the legal department. It's legally binding. If that's the case, then he and I can be considered to have no debts to each other. Hearing this, Xia Qingshui forcefully threw the folder into the assistant's arms. For some reason, she felt a bit empty inside. Qingshui, Xia Qiang's eyes were filled with tears, the tears hanging on the edge of his radiant smile. Xia Qingshui sat on his lap. Xia Qiang, we can finally be together. Seeing this, the assistant beside them hurriedly excused herself. Xia Qingshui leaned down and kissed the tear at the corner of Xia Qiang's eye, gently kissing his eyelashes. Xia Qiang kissed Xia Qingshui's thin lips, the warm tears evaporating in their breaths, turning into mist that touched their faces. In the private hospital room, the sound of Their passionate, ambiguous kisses echoed, and it was a long time before silence returned. Xia Qingshui led Xia Qiang back to the villa by the hand. Xia Qiang couldn't hide the worry on his face. Qingshui, will Mr. Fang be angry when you bring me back here? Xia Qingshui placed a kiss on his lips. How would he dare? You're the one who will be with me for the rest of my life, my rightful husband. What the hell is that Fang Yuan? Not kicking him out is already me being generous for old time's sake. Xia Qingshui entered the password and opened the villa door. She gently took Xia Qiang's hand and spoke softly to him. Xia Qiang, you can move into the master bedroom. I'll tell Fang Yuan to move his things to the guest bedroom. She gently squeezed Xia Qiang's palm, comforting him. Xia Qingshui pushed the door and stepped inside. When she saw the scene inside the house, she froze. Qingshui, what's wrong? Xia Qiang looked at the clearly stunned Xia Qingshui beside him. Xia Qingshui composed herself for a moment, then smiled at Xia Qiang. It's nothing. Hurry and come in. Xia Qingshui took a few steps forward. The soft feeling under her feet was gone. The golden retriever named Rong Rong would no longer run to her wagging its tail, nor would it flash its characteristic doggy smile. Even when Xia Qingshui looked up to the second floor, if it were a normal day, I would always be standing by the second floor banister, smiling as I watched her push the door open. Xia Qingshui shook her head, pushing all of these thoughts from her mind. Xia Qiang, from now on, this is your home? Xia Qingshui led Xia Qiang to the second floor. She was about to push open the master bedroom door to tell me to quickly move to the guest room, but unexpectedly, after she pushed the door open, she was completely stunned on the spot. The master bedroom of the past, its bed filled with all sorts of my models, the headboard adorned with photos I secretly took of Xia Qingshui. On the nightstand I was also used to placing a vase filled with fresh flowers. However, the bedroom in front of Xia Qingshui was empty. Everything I had personally arranged had vanished without a trace. Xia Qingshui rushed over and pulled open the drawer of the empty desk. The drawer that was once full of love letters was now empty. She pulled open the closet, only to find that all the clothes that had belonged to me were gone. Even the dresses I had personally designed for her had also disappeared without a trace, leaving only a few outfits belonging to Xia Qingshui herself. Xia Qingshui's expression wasn't very good. She called for the maid in the villa. Where are Mr. Fang's things? The maid looked surprised. C.O. Xia, this morning Mr. Fang's parents came and took his last pieces of luggage. They said they were moving abroad. Didn't you know about this? Xia Qingshui forced herself to lean on the desk with both hands, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. I guess he knows his place, moving out on his own first. Xia Qiang walked over and hugged Xia Qingshui, who was standing in front of the desk, his voice full of joy. Qingshui, this is great. Finally, there are no more obstacles between us. Xia Qingshui snapped back to reality. She turned and hugged Xia Qiang. Xia Qiang, we finally waited for this day. Xia Qingshui buried her head in Xia Qiang's shoulder. I'm really so happy. Everything went so smoothly. Xia Qiang, as long as you're by my side, that's all I need. I don't need anything else. Xia Qingshui spoke gently to Xia Qiang, then naturally kissed Xia Qiang's forehead. Before stepping onto the airplane stairs, I looked back at this city one last time. This place held too many of my memories, and too many things related to Xia Qingshui. I no longer felt any attachment. I turned my head and entered the cabin. The flight to Europe slowly flew into the clouds, leaving only a faint white trail, then disappeared. I spent half a month recuperating in a private hospital in France. My body gradually recovered. I turned my head to look out the window. The foreign scenery was so vivid, bright sunshine, lush green lawns with couples on picnics. In the distance, the Eiffel Tower stood tall against the clear blue sky. It all captured my attention. After all my health indicators were normal, I was discharged from the hospital. Basking in the sunlight, I felt nothing but relief in my heart. It turns out I could also cast everything aside, no longer heartbroken by Xia Qingshui's coldness and no longer troubled by Xia Qiang's appearance. At this moment, I was a completely new person, someone in charge of my own life. Returning to the Fang family home, a villa on the banks of the Seine River, I focused all my energy on planning a trip around Europe. A few days later, wearing a cowboy hat and a blue and white hoodie, I appeared on the streets of Rome. I stood before the ruins of the ancient Roman Colosseum, looking up at the remains of the Temple of Venus, endlessly sighing in admiration. Afterwards, I went to the Trevi Fountain in the center of Rome, sitting beside the Wishing Fountain, holding a coconut-flavored ice cream cone I bought from a street vendor. I watched the flow of tourists and passers-by on the street, silently enjoying my own time in Rome. Suddenly, a woman in a white dress walked towards me, taking off the sunglasses from the bridge of her nose in front of me. I looked up. The woman before me had deep and beautiful eyes. Her azure eyes seemed to contain the entire ocean. I thought I was blocking her view, and was about to stand up when she grabbed my wrist. Mr. Fang, you don't recognize me? The woman in front of me laughed heartily. Under the warm Roman sun, it made my heart beat faster. Truly a captivating beauty. I silently cursed myself in my heart for being swayed by beauty. I flashed a brilliant smile. You are. The woman shrugged, smiling back at me. Mr. Fang, I was your attending physician at the private hospital in Paris. Seeing me stare at her blankly, she raised her hand to cover the lower part of her face. Can you recognize me like this? The appearance of the woman before me, along with the doctor in the large white mask from the private hospital, their faces gradually matched. I suddenly realized, I'm so sorry, Dr. Lin. Without your mask, I didn't recognize you. Lin Kaiwei smiled back at me. Mr. Fang, if you really want to apologize, then could I trouble you to stroll around Rome with me? I was the one who was rude first, so I nodded and walked the streets of Rome with Lin Kaiwei. Dr. Lin, are you also in Rome for a vacation? Lin Kaiwei nodded. After Mr. Fang was discharged, the hospital gave me a vacation. I thought I'd travel around Europe. It's such a coincidence that I ran into you. Lin Kaiwei, her radiant smile was especially dazzling under the sunlight on the streets of Rome. I was so captivated by Lin Kaiwei's smile that my head was spinning. I quickly said, "You're too formal, Dr. Lin. Just call me Fang Yuan." Lin Kaiwei replied in kind, "Then Fang Yuan, you can just call me Lin Kaiwei." The sky of Rome was as clear as jade. The two of them strolled to the Trinità dei Monti church and sat together on the stone steps, enjoying the gentle breeze. Lin Kaiwei suddenly asked, "Fang Yuan, can you tell me why you came to Europe?" Seeing my silence, Lin Kaiwei quickly waved her hands apologetically. "Fang Yuan, I didn't mean to pry into your private affairs. I just wanted to know why you were so seriously injured, yet still insisted on coming from China to Paris to continue your treatment." Lin Kaiwei paused for a moment. "I was once sent by the hospital to China to attend an academic conference. China's medical standards are not inferior to France's. Your injuries weren't incurable there either." I spoke up, interrupting Lin Kaiwei, "Because back in my country, I went through some very terrible things. I was even on the verge of death, and my family was almost destroyed." Lin Kaiwei looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, I didn't know about these things." I looked at Lin Kaiwei, her eyes as clear as jade. "It's okay. A lot of things are in the past. As long as you let it go and embrace a new life." I smiled with relief. That smile was reflected in Lin Kaiwei's eyes. A gentle breeze blew by. Lin Kaiwei couldn't help but feel a ripple in her heart. She quickly lowered her head to hide her unease. "Fang Yuan." Lin Kaiwei extended her hand towards me. "I want to take back my previous invitation. I don't just want to invite you to stroll around Rome with me, if possible. Could I invite you to spend this entire vacation with me?" My heart fluttered. I placed my hand on Lin Kaiwei's. "To receive Miss Lin's invitation, I am very honored." Lin Kaiwei smiled. "I know a great coffee shop nearby." The two of them entered the coffee shop together. The melodious sound of a piano echoed in my ears. I stopped to admire the paintings hanging in the shop, feeling impressed. This is the oldest coffee shop in Rome. Famous Italian sculptors, writers, and even musicians are regulars here. Lin Kaiwei thoughtfully explained beside me. The two of them sat down one after the other. The waiter in a tailcoat took their order in English. I ordered a cup of black tea, Lin Kaiwei ordered a latte, and also ordered a croissant. I quietly admired the decor in the shop. Lin Kaiwei pushed the croissant that smelled of wheat towards me. "Try it." Lin Kaiwei smiled gently at me. I took a bite of the crispy, flaky croissant, the rich, buttery flavor soaking into my taste buds. Chewing carefully, a faint citrus scent filled my mouth. It's delicious. I put down the croissant in my hand, lowered my head, but large tears kept falling onto the table. Lin Kaiwei was a bit flustered for a moment. She stood up and came over to me, gently pulling me into her embrace. "Fang Yuan, what's wrong?" Lin Kaiwei gently comforted me, lightly patting my back. "I used to have a dog named Rong Rong. I tried to suppress my sobs, but tears still streamed down my face. He was beaten and seriously injured. In order to protect me, he accidentally fell from the second floor." Lin Kaiwei gently rested my head on her shoulder, letting my tears soak her shirt. "When I was still in my country, every time I brought home a croissant, Rong Rong would rest his head on my lap and watch me eat the croissant with wide eyes." I suddenly let out a laugh. "Did you know his drool would sometimes soak a large patch on my pants?" Lin Kaiwei gently patted my back, comforting me tenderly. "I understand the pain of losing a dog, and I have no reason to make you forget everything. But," Lin Kaiwei's gentle voice seemed to have a magical quality, "if you miss him, you can come to my house. I have a dog too. Maybe he can comfort you." I quickly wiped my tears. "Really? Thank you, Lin Kaiwei." Lin Kaiwei gently knelt down in front of me, her azure eyes like a gentle ocean. "It's true. He's a Bernese mountain dog named Dodo." When I heard the name Dodo, I couldn't help but laugh. Who would have thought that Dr. Lin, the cold and noble goddess, would be at home calling Dodo every day? Lin Kaiwei's fingertips wiped away the tear from the corner of my eye, her eyes shimmering with ripples. "Do you know, at the wishing fountain, why I suddenly called out to you?" I shook my head repeatedly. Lin Kaiwei smiled gently at me. "You were wearing a hoodie and sandals. Your gaze didn't land on me at all. You were just watching the passersby on the street. The smile in Lin Kai-Wei's eyes became more apparent. I thought, this person is as handsome as a star from a black and white movie, making it impossible for people to look away. So I walked towards you and recognized you. It was also because of my selfishness that I wanted to invite you to stroll around Rome with me. But then, I got greedier. I hoped you could accompany me for the entire European vacation. Lin Kai-Wei's exquisite face got closer and closer, and my mind went blank. There was a cool sensation on my cheek. Lin Kai-Wei's lips gently touched my right cheek, a brief touch, and then they were gone. Sorry. Lin Kai-Wei smiled a little apologetically, but at least you're not crying anymore. In the city's largest amusement park, Xia Qingshui held Xia Qiang's hand, looking at him helplessly. Qingshui, look at this. Xia Qiang beamed, pointing at the mascot, taking pictures with tourists up ahead. Xia Qingshui looked at him lovingly and smiled, letting him pull her over to take a picture with the mascot. Qingshui, hurry and look. Xia Qiang held the instant photo in front of her face, excitedly showing it off to her. Xia Qingshui froze. The image of another person in her mind gradually overlapped with the Xia Qiang before her. Right after signing the contract, Xia Qingshui had to go on a date with me to the amusement park. I excitedly pulled her along, taking pictures with the interactive mascots in the park. I showed her the instant photo with a joyful expression, but she knocked it to the ground. Fang Yuan, I don't know why you're so childish. Xia Qingshui had only uttered that one cold sentence and then walked away. But later she still saw that photo together in its frame. I was holding her hand, smiling so brightly. Only then did she know that after she had left, I had squatted on the ground, carefully picking up the dusty photo, treasuring it like a jewel, and keeping it forever. Xia Qingshui's heart suddenly ached. Xia Qiang beside her saw her expression change and quickly hugged her. Qingshui, what's wrong? Xia Qingshui then snapped out of her memories. She quickly comforted the man in front of her. Xia Qiang, I'm fine. It's just a little hot. Seeing that Xia Qingshui was fine, Xia Qiang gave a mischievous smile and pointed into the distance at a haunted house called the Haunted Mansion. Qingshui, want to try a challenge? Xia Qingshui nodded and said coquettishly, You just love to cause trouble. She and Xia Qiang entered the haunted mansion, and the two were immediately plunged into darkness. As they went inside, puppets and scary contraptions jumped out in front of them. Xia Qingshui screamed and threw herself into Xia Qiang's arms, her whole body trembling. Qingshui, Xia Qiang gripped Xia Qingshui's clothes tightly, letting her cling to him as they walked on. But he didn't notice that Xia Qingshui's hand was clenched slightly, her palm ice cold. Xia Qingshui was trying to endure the fear in her heart. Ever since her parents jumped to their deaths while she was fast asleep, she had been terrified of the night and the dark. I knew about her secret emotional scar. Whenever night fell, I always turned on a warm-colored lamp for her. Not afraid of ghosts, I sympathized with her, so I never went to places like haunted houses. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't have taken her to a haunted house. This thought suddenly popped into Xia Qingshui's mind. She was startled and quickly pushed Xia Qiang away. Xia Qingshui gripped Xia Qiang's hand tightly. Let's go. Xia Qiang, who had gotten quite a scare, nodded his head repeatedly. The two waved at the camera, signaling the staff to lead them away. Qingshui, are you okay? Xia Qiang stood under the sun, looking shyly at the pale-faced Xia Qingshui. Xia Qingshui shook her head, responding weakly. Xia Qiang, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Xia Qiang pulled Xia Qingshui to a seat at an outdoor cafe, letting her rest for a while. Qingshui, wait for me a moment. Xia Qiang ran to the ice cream truck nearby. A moment later, he handed Xia Qingshui a chocolate ice cream bar. Qingshui, did you get sunstroke? Xia Qiang brought the ice cream to her lips, looking at her with concern. Xia Qingshui had to take it and slowly ate it. Actually, ever since her family went bankrupt after her parents passed away, in order to pay off debts, she worked odd jobs day and night. During the day, she worked as a waitress in a restaurant, and at night, she worked as a security guard at a bar. Under extreme poverty and exhaustion, she would often get home and just fall asleep, sometimes not even eating for a whole day. Over time, Xia Qingshui developed severe stomach problems. This was something only I knew. That's also why I never let her touch any raw or cold food, and I always had hot, stomach-soothing soup ready at home. If it were me, I would definitely snatch the ice cream from her hand and angrily warn her. Xia Qingshui's heart couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment. Qingshui. Xia Qiang's hand touched her forehead. Are you not feeling well? Qingshui, what's wrong? Xia Qingshui handed the ice cream in her hand to Xia Qiang. I'm sorry, Xia Qiang, I really can't eat this. Xia Qiang frowned. Qingshui, what's wrong with you? Are you hiding something from me? Looking at her lover's worried face, she shook her head. How could Xia Qingshui possibly explain it clearly? That dark period she most wanted to escape, that period had left indelible marks on her body and soul. Along with me, the person she desperately wanted to escape also constantly appeared in her mind, impossible to completely forget. Xia Qingshui looked at Xia Qiang with an apologetic expression. Xia Qiang, it's my fault you're not having fun. Xia Qiang shook his head repeatedly, using his hand to cover Xia Qingshui's lips. I am fine. King Shui, we can always go again in the future. Xia Qingshui's expression immediately softened. She stood on her tiptoes and hugged Xia Qiang. Xia Qiang, you're so good to me. Xia Qiang smiled. If I'm not good to you, then who else will be? A figure flashed before Xia Qingshui's eyes. She kept pushing it away, hugging Xia Qiang tightly. That's right, besides Xia Qiang, who else would be this good to me? Xia Qingshui tried to use these words to comfort her restless heart. Xia Qiang turned off the lights, and the two slept in each other's arms. But Xia Qingshui slept very restlessly. She kept dreaming of the Xia family's bankruptcy, the scene of her parents jumping to their deaths while she was sound asleep. She sold the family villa, sold all the valuables, and rented a shabby boarding room shared by more than 10 people, living a life that revolved around the restaurant, the bar, and her boarding room. She developed severe stomach problems and often woke up startled at night. Her roommates would be woken up, and they would curse her in the stinking boarding room. She could only apologize repeatedly. The debt weighing on her shoulders made it hard for her to breathe. Xia Qingshui thought that those dark days would never end. Until that day, she was dragging a drunk rich kid who was causing trouble out of the bar. The rich kid, reeking of alcohol, threw the drink in his glass at her. Who the hell do you think you are, touching me with your filthy hands? Xia Qingshui's hand hanging by her side, clenched into a fist, but her face remained obsequious. I'm sorry. Please don't cause a scene in the bar, sir. The rich kid looked displeased and was about to hit her, but was stopped by a tall figure. You dare touch her? The young man exuded a surprisingly powerful aura. The rich kid was stunned. The young man waved his hand, and a few bodyguards came over, dragging the rich kid out. The young man turned and put a jacket over her shoulders, a bright smile on his face. King Shui, he said warmly, I've paid off all your debts. You don't have to do this anymore. I stood against the colorful lights of the bar, like a hero descending from the heavens. From now on, you are mine. You can't leave me for the rest of your life. Then came the memories of her time with me, bit by bit. She saw the young man's love as a cage and desperately pushed me away. Xiao Xia, Xia Qiang, here to apply for the secretary position. Like the male and female leads in a romance novel, the moment Xia Qingshui met Xia Qiang, she was deeply attracted to him. Xia Qingshui had once questioned her own inexplicable, overwhelming feelings for Xia Qiang, but couldn't find a reason. So she attributed it to love at first sight, and she loved Xia Qiang desperately, not to mention donating a kidney to him. Everything was as if it had been prearranged. They were constantly drawn to each other. The hero who had once saved her in the darkness was gradually resented by her. She hated the contract I had set up at the beginning, hated my cage-like love, and hated even more that I was the obstacle between her and Xia Qiang, preventing their love from progressing naturally. In the dream, she seemed to be floating in mid-air, seeing everything from above. She saw me in the hospital corridor, clutching my stomach in pain, begging the cold bodyguards for medicine. No. Pale-faced, I fainted on the cold tiles. She saw me hear Xia Qiang's words, and as I backed away, a vase hit me, drawing blood. Vin Vin, who was quiet in the corner, rushed forward, causing Xia Qiang to back away repeatedly and accidentally twist his ankle. She saw me holding Vin Vin's cold body thrown into the ice cellar by the bodyguards, frost condensing on my hair as I held the small dog's body tightly. She saw me patiently persuade Xia Qiang, then close the door and leave, but Xia Qiang knelt outside the door all night. Unaware of what was happening, I was scolded by her. I was dying in a car crash, yet she ruthlessly abandoned me, nearly losing my life. Then there I was, skinny, standing on the airplane stairs, turning and leaving without any attachment. Before I left, my thin lips moved, as if saying goodbye to a distant place. Xia Qingshui. Xia Qingshui woke up in a cold sweat, her face pale, the cold sweat soaking her pajamas. Xia Qiang beside her was woken up by her, and he quickly turned on the bedside lamp. Qingshui, are you not feeling well? Xia Qiang looked at the blood-drained Xia Qingshui beside him, a panicked look on his face. He hurriedly woke up the maid and called for an ambulance. Xia Qingshui was put into the ambulance by the paramedics. The sound of the ambulance siren seemed like it could pierce her eardrums. The paramedics were performing a basic checkup on Xia Qingshui. It's too noisy, Xia Qingshui frowned. She struggled to open her eyes but only saw Xia Qiang's face full of tears. For some reason, at this moment when Xia Qingshui saw the panicked face of her lover, she only felt a surge of impatience in her heart. Something's not right, Xia Qingshui mumbled. Qingshui, what's not right? Hurry up and tell me. Xia Qiang kept asking urgently, tears flowing down from his chin, falling onto Xia Qingshui's face. A cold, mechanical voice sounded in Xia Qingshui's mind. Warning, the female lead is about to deviate from the plot's trajectory, requesting enhanced control. The blinding red light of the emergency room flashed across Xia Qingshui's eyes, and she just felt a wave of dizziness. What female lead? What plot? Control who? Xia Qingshui was pushed into the emergency room, the large, cold white doors separating her from Xia Qiang outside. She clearly saw the grieving face of Xia Qiang, Fang Yuan. Before Xia Qingshui completely lost consciousness, her weak voice didn't reach anyone's ears. A few hours later, Xia Qingshui opened her eyes, faced with the glaring hospital ceiling. Qingshui. Xia Qiang, who was watching by the bed, saw her open her eyes and excitedly threw himself into her arms. Xia Qiang. Xia Qingshui struggled to hug the person in her arms, who was crying incessantly, and gently comforted him. Qingshui, you're finally awake. Xia Qiang lifted his tear-streaked face, looking at Xia Qingshui shyly. Don't cry, Xia Qiang. Xia Qingshui's cold fingertips wiped away Xia Qiang's tears. For some reason, looking at Xia Qiang before her, Xia Qingshui only felt an emptiness in her heart. Some important person had been forgotten by her, but she couldn't remember who. Xia Qingshui's brow throbbed with pain, and right now she just wanted to be alone. Xia Qiang, don't worry about me anymore. Go home and rest. Xia Qiang was clearly stunned for a moment. Qingshui, you don't need me by your side anymore? Xia Qingshui was clearly the one who was most clingy to him. Xia Qiang, the person who loved being with her the most. I'm fine. I just need to rest in the hospital for a while. On the contrary, you stayed with me for so long last night. If you ruin your health because of me, I would be heartbroken. Xia Qingshui said everything she could, and finally convinced Xia Qiang to go home. After Xia Qiang's figure disappeared from the doorway, Xia Qingshui threw herself onto the bed in the VIP room. On the soft mattress, she closed her eyes, trying to remember the important person she seemed to have forgotten. Gradually, she fell into a dream. Sister Qingshui. A boy with an oval face appeared before her, baring his gap-toothed mouth, smiling at her. So familiar. Xia Qingshui tried to grab the boy's wrist, but her hand caught nothing. Qingshui. A delicate-looking teenager in a shirt draped a jacket over her. I've paid off all your debts. You don't have to do this anymore. Xia Qingshui wanted to hold on to the teenager before her, to ask him questions, but that teenager vanished into thin air. Goodbye. The man in front of Xia Qingshui had a thin frame, his short hair blowing in the wind. Xia Qingshui hurriedly tried to hug the man, but that man turned and left without any attachment, and they completely passed by each other. Fang Yuan. Xia Qingshui suddenly opened her eyes, screaming in terror. Crash! The white porcelain bowl full of crab porridge in Xia Qiang's hands fell to the ground, shards and hot porridge scattering everywhere. Fang Yuan. Xia Qiang looked at Xia Qingshui in disbelief and took a few steps back. Xia Qiang, be careful! Xia Qiang ignored the shards and hot porridge on the ground. He turned and rushed out the door. Xia Qiang. Xia Qingshui hurriedly pulled the IV needle from the back of her hand and ran out barefoot. Xia Qiang. Xia Qingshui hugged Xia Qiang's waist. Is not what you think, Xia Qiang. Let me explain. Xia Qiang's eyes were red, his words laced with sobs. Then why? Tell me it's not true. Xia Qingshui hurriedly used her hand to wipe away Xia Qiang's flowing tears. She looked up with a hint of desperation. She couldn't control herself from remembering the figure of another man. The cold electronic voice sounded in Xia Qingshui's mind again. Warning, control invalid. Female lead has deviated from the plot's trajectory. A few days later, Lin Kaiwei and I visited the ancient Colosseum, the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome, Castel Sant'Angelo. We were on the streets of Rome under the night sky, dancing with everyone. The bright moonlight shone on our faces, adding a hazy atmosphere to the cool Roman night. Lin Kaiwei's hand held mine. Our breaths gradually mingled. Did you know? Lin Kaiwei looked at me. Her pair of blue eyes seemed even more mysterious under the night sky. What? I just felt my cheeks heat up. I tried to avoid Lin Kaiwei's gaze. This place, Castel Sant'Angelo. The runaway princess and the down-on-his-luck journalist went through exile and escape. In the end, they realized their feelings for each other again and left behind an eternal kiss. Lin Kaiwei's warm breath drew closer, making my face flush. Lin Kaiwei gently lifted my chin, somewhat firmly forcing me to look straight at her. And what about you? I couldn't help but face the eyes of Lin Kaiwei, which were full of affection. For a moment, I wanted to let myself sink to the bottom of the sea to explore the emotions beneath that sea-like color. Just as the warm lips of Lin Kaiwei were about to touch mine, I suddenly pushed Lin Kaiwei away. Under Lin Kaiwei's astonished gaze, my tears fell uncontrollably again. I turned and ran, like a coward, fleeing from battle. I hid alone on a bench under the shade of a roadside tree, my head buried between my knees. I didn't understand why I couldn't face Lin Kaiwei's feelings. Maybe I still hadn't escaped Xia Qingshui's shadow. Lin Kaiwei gently sat down beside me, saying nothing. Silence spread between the two of us. Only the chirping of cicadas marked the passing of time. I'm sorry, I said sorrowfully after a long while. Lin Kaiwei looked at the tear stains on my face. The one who should be sorry is me. I was too impulsive. I scared you. I quickly shook my head and looked at Lin Kaiwei. There wasn't a trace of anger in her eyes, only tenderness. It's not that. I tried to suppress my sobs. I was the one who said I wanted to move on, but I'm still the one trapped in the past. Lin Kaiwei looked at the boy who was both shy and brave enough to accept himself and couldn't help but ask, Can I hug you? Seeing me nod, she hugged me. Unlike the perfume on Xia Qingshui, in Lin Kaiwei's arms there was a faint scent of fresh grass. What perfume are you wearing? I sniffled and asked sadly in Lin Kaiwei's embrace. Lin Kaiwei chuckled. I'm a doctor. I'm not in the habit of wearing perfume. Is there a strange smell? No, it smells very nice. I snuggled into Lin Kaiwei's arms. I was surprised to find that the grievances and frustrations built up over many years seemed to have washed away with my tears. If you need someone's arms when you cry, then I hope it's mine, Lin Kaiwei said gently. It's okay if you can't move on. As long as you don't want to be imprisoned by the past anymore, I will slowly walk out with you and wait for you to accept me. I lifted my head from Lin Kaiwei's embrace, looking at her elegant jawline. Lin Kaiwei, will you really stay with me? Will you leave one day? Will you stop loving me? Lin Kaiwei looked up at me and said slowly, No, never. I looked at Lin Kaiwei, stunned. The ocean in her eyes was deep and firm. How long has it been since someone seriously promised me that they would love me for a lifetime? My fingertip touched the space between Lin Kaiwei's eyebrows. Lin Kaiwei, why are you so beautiful? Why are your eyes blue? They're like a sea. But I didn't say the second half of the sentence. Lin Kaiwei smiled and said, My mom is Chinese. My dad is French. My eyes and nose are like my dad's. The rest is like my mom's. Then uncle and auntie must be very handsome and charming. I smiled back at her. If you come to meet them, they will definitely be very happy. In the deep, sea-like eyes of Lin Kaiwei, my reflection was overflowing. My cheeks flushed again. I quickly got up from Lin Kaiwei's embrace. You're French. You wouldn't understand. In China, only couples who promise each other a lifetime together meet the parents. Lin Kaiwei looked at me and smiled gently. I'm not a native French person. I grew up in China until I was 15. My family only moved to France then. She turned me by my shoulders to look straight into my eyes, so I know what meeting the parents means. I stared blankly at the woman in front of me. My face beat red. Lin Kaiwei, you're playing foul. Xia Qiang pushed Xia Qingshui out of the hospital. There was an unusual silence between them. Since the day Xia Qingshui accidentally called out my name, their relationship came to a standstill. At first, Xia Qiang cried non-stop. Even though Xia Qingshui kept apologizing and admitting she was wrong, he wouldn't forgive her. After that, the atmosphere between them was often cold, looking at each other without a word, only silence. Xia Qiang pushed Xia Qingshui back to the villa. As soon as she entered the door, Xia Qingshui couldn't suppress the pain in her heart. There was no Vin Vin here, and no me. What pained her even more was, she was the one who had Vin Vin killed, and she was the one who forced me to leave. Qingshui. Xia Qiang suddenly spoke. His tone was surprisingly cold. Qingshui, what are you thinking about? Xia Qingshui shook her head and turned to smile at Xia Qiang. Nothing. It's just that I haven't been back in a long time. Feeling a bit nostalgic, right? Xia Qiang's expression softened a little. He helped Xia Qingshui slowly go up to the second floor. He settled her on the bed in the master bedroom. The decor in the master bedroom was completely new. Xia Qiang had placed wooden furniture and office supplies that he liked. Xia Qingshui's gaze shifted to the flower vase on the bedside table. It turned out that Xia Qiang, just like me, would also place a vase of fresh flowers on the bedside table. Xia Qingshui closed her eyes in pain. She was finding it harder and harder to control herself. Remembering the things I used to do for her, it came flooding back like a tide in her heart. The guilt and longing burst forth. Every time she remembered, her heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Xia Qingshui took out her phone to contact her special assistant to investigate the country I immigrated to, and where I was now. The special assistant on the other end of the line was a little surprised. Mr. Fang Yuan? Xia Qingshui was silent for a moment before replying, It's him. Then she hung up, held onto the bed frame to stand up, walked to the desk, and pulled open a drawer. This place used to be filled with things I wrote for her. She threatened me to throw them away or burn them, but I could never bring myself to do it. Qingshui, don't you want to take a look? Not even a little bit. Xia Qingshui coldly cut off my pleas and walked away. Now the drawer held notebooks and a few of Xia Qiang's watches. Xia Qingshui gave a bitter smile and closed the drawer. She then walked to the wardrobe and gently opened it. Inside the wardrobe were only a few scattered suits. It was filled with clothes of a different style from mine. She terribly misses the suits that I designed with my own hands. I always used the best fabric to design the most comfortable styles, and hung them in the closet according to color, but she never wore them and even tore up the design sketches. Xia Qingshui recalled my face, pale and smiling bitterly. Her heart felt as if it was being struck by a sledgehammer. She knelt on the ground in agony, Scenes from the past flashed through her mind. Back then, she was madly in love with Xia Qiang, toying with me. My wholehearted love was cruelly trampled by her. Fang Yuan, I'm sorry, Fang Yuan, I'm truly sorry. The phone suddenly rang. Xia Qingshui answered the call. President Xia, we have investigated and found Mr. Fang's whereabouts. The Fang family has emigrated to Europe, including their domestic business assets. Xia Qingshui's heart suddenly tightened. The special assistant continued. Mr. Fang is currently vacationing in Rome. The photos taken by the detective have been sent to your phone. Xia Qingshui hung up and opened the photos. In the photo, I was smiling brightly, and beside me was a woman who looked like she was of mixed heritage, holding my hand. Discomfort and extreme pain surged within her as she quickly scrolled through the photos. In the night, Lin Kaiwei led me in a dance. The two of us were close, extremely intimate. Lin Kaiwei kissed my cheek, holding me tightly. Crash! The phone in Xia Qingshui's hand fell to the floor. She sobbed in agony. Suddenly, a pair of feet and slippers appeared before her. Qingshui. Xia Qiang picked up the phone. He looked at me in the photo. Qingshui, have you fallen in love with Fang Yuan? Tell me. Xia Qiang knelt on the ground, shaking her. Xia Qingshui's tears wouldn't stop falling. Xia Qingshui's thin lips trembled for a long time. Then she slowly replied, I have fallen in love with Fang Yuan. Lin Kaiwei and I set off for Cyprus. I heard it has the purest beaches, clear water, fine sand, blue sky and sea, merging into one, indescribably beautiful. Lin Kaiwei and I, hand in hand, strolled through the sacred land of Cyprus, the island of the god of love. Lin Kaiwei, the azure blue in her eyes, blended with the color of the sea, becoming the most beautiful scenery in my eyes. They say this is where the goddess who reigns over love and beauty, Aphrodite, was born. Lovers come here to pray that the god of love will grant them eternal and undying love. I looked into the distance, at the rock shaped like the goddess. Under the erosion of the sea waves, it still maintained its form. I found myself believing Lin Kaiwei's words. But, is there really such a thing as eternal love? Lin Kaiwei looked at me quietly. Perhaps it's because eternal love is so hard to find, that everyone comes to pray to the god of love. Fang Yuan, I can promise you an eternal and undying love. But I hope my feelings for you, in every present moment, are sincere. The ocean in Lin Kaiwei's eyes seemed to hold a fierce undercurrent. The love of each moment added together might just form an eternity. I looked into those eyes filled with love. I wanted to just sink into them, sealed in the tenderness of this moment. Our breaths mingled together, the warmth from our lips coming and going. Lin Kaiwei trembled. Fang Yuan, do you still want to push me away? Just as our lips were about to touch. Fang Yuan, what are you doing? Hearing this familiar yet distant scolding, I was startled, almost falling into the sea. Luckily, Lin Kaiwei caught me in time, holding my trembling body in her arms. Let him go. Xia Qingshui gripped my wrist tightly, as if wanting to pull me towards her. Her dark eyes were filled with anger. Xia Qingshui couldn't describe her feelings upon seeing me and another woman about to kiss. You're the one who should let him go. Do you know how deeply your actions have hurt him? Lin Kaiwei's face was full of anger, her delicate brows furrowed, her eyes looked like they were about to unleash a storm. Hearing Lin Kaiwei's words, Xia Qingshui's grip loosened. Seeing this, Lin Kaiwei quickly shielded me behind her. Seeing this only made Xia Qingshui feel extremely furious. My business with him is not for an outsider like you to interfere in. Who do you think you are? A temporary girlfriend? Or are you not even a girlfriend? Xia Qingshui's questioning startled Lin Kaiwei. Although her heart was in turmoil, she still resolutely protected me behind her. Xia Qingshui said sarcastically, Do you know about the relationship between him and me? He has liked me for 15 years. What about you? Have you two even known each other for 2 months? Lin Kaiwei lowered her head, her body trembling slightly. But Xia Qingshui thought Lin Kaiwei had backed down. She took a few more steps forward. If you have nothing to say, then get out of the way. Lin Kaiwei finally exploded. She suddenly made a move, landing a punch on Xia Qingshui's jaw, catching her completely off guard. Xia Qingshui fell into the seawater. Let me remind you, Lin Kaiwei's eyes seemed to be burnt. I was the European boxing champion for 3 consecutive years. Although that was when I was a minor, I'm afraid dealing with you is more than enough. Lin Kaiwei's fist cut through the sea breeze, punching Xia Qingshui hard in the face. Xia Qingshui intended to block the blow, but due to her weak body and the huge difference in strength, she ultimately couldn't defend herself. Lin Kaiwei flicked off the drop of blood on her hand. She looked at Xia Qingshui coldly. Fang Yuan has liked you for 15 years. What have you given him? Grief? Fear? Hurt? Or what? Lin Kaiwei took my hand, warning Xia Qingshui, who was lying in the seawater, stay away from him. The two of them gradually walked away. Xia Qingshui lay helplessly in the seawater. The salty seawater washed away the blood on her face and flooded her nasal cavity. Xia Qingshui coughed dryly and sat up, staring blankly into the distance. Why? She murmured helplessly, her body growing weaker. But the image of me in her mind grew clearer. Some intense emotion was gradually breaking its bonds, urging her to leave Xiaqiang behind and come here at all costs. When she saw me, the person she longed for day and night, and my lips, almost touching Lin Kai Weiss, she could no longer control her body. Could it be? Xia Qingshui's hand rested on her chest. That heart was beating powerfully in her ribcage. Could it be that the person she has always loved was me? Xia Qingshui recalled those two strange electronic voices. Could it be that she and Xiaqiang are the female and male leads? But she, as the female lead, is in love with me, which means she has deviated from the original plot. Xia Qingshui lowered her eyes and suddenly laughed out loud. So everything, the Xia family's bankruptcy, the death of her parents, her inexplicable resentment towards me, the love at first sight with Xiaqiang, was it all just a plot written by someone else? That electronic voice sounded in her head again. Female lead, you have realized the truth about the world you're in. Please fulfill your duties as the female lead. Return to Xiaqiang's side. Otherwise what? Xia Qingshui narrowed her eyes and sneered. Otherwise, you will be erased as unrepairable data. Your body is getting weaker. This is also the result of the system's adjustments. Xia Qingshui laughed out loud. Isn't it enough that you've bound me for so long? You still want to erase me? The system was silent for a moment. Xia Qingshui, do you know why Fang Yuan, who refused to sign before, suddenly signed? Xia Qingshui was stunned for a moment, then roared. Why was the first person to realize the truth of the world not you, but Fang Yuan? But he didn't realize the full truth like you did. It's just that he was too obsessed with you and refused to let go, which led to a deviation in the plot. The system continued to explain. He didn't leave at the plot point, where he was supposed to. This caused Xiaqiang to later deviate onto Fang Yuan's plot trajectory, leaving heartbrokenly and go to a foreign land. To avenge Xiaqiang, you forced Fang Yuan's parents to commit suicide together. Fang Yuan was also tortured to death by you. The corners of Xia Qingshui's eyes turned red. Hearing the description of how she tortured me to death, her heart ached fiercely. Therefore, I told him the correct plot trajectory, with the intention of correcting the plot. Unexpectedly, the female lead deviated, and multiple attempts to correct it failed. The system's tone was full of helplessness. If you return to Xiaqiang's side, there might still be a chance to fix it. No. Impossible. Xia Qingshu's lips uttered resolute words. I will not be bound by you anymore. I want to have my own life. Xia Qingshui. That's impossible. The system replied coldly. When you were created as the female lead, you were not allowed to have independent thoughts. If you continue to act on your own, this world will continue to collapse, and in the end, you will disappear. Then what about Fang Yuan? Xia Qingshui was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked. Fang Yuan will become the new male lead, living the life he chooses. Hearing this, Xia Qingshui breathed a sigh of relief. If that's the case, then I'm even less likely to go back to Xiaqiang. I will continue to follow my true feelings and love Fang Yuan. The system, seeing that persuading Xia Qingshui was ineffective, didn't say any more. Since you have made an irreversible choice, then I will not appear again. Leaving those last words, the system disappeared. Fang Yuan. Xia Qingshui clenched the fist hanging at her sides. If that's the case, I will confess my true feelings to you. Sitting in a small seaside tavern, Lin Kaiwei and I looked at each other without a word when the Cypriot specialty dish was served. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Lin Kaiwei looked at me gently. Hey, Fang Yuan, this isn't your fault. Besides, I'm actually pursuing you right now. Lin Kaiwei poured deep red wine into my glass. Hurry and taste the wine here. I raised my wine glass and gently clinked it with Lin Kaiwei's. Congratulations on taking the first step towards a new life, drinking the fragrant wine. Lin Kaiwei's smile was particularly captivating. Without you, I really don't know what I would do. I looked at Lin Kaiwei with gratitude. There's still a lot you don't know. Lin Kaiwei smiled. If Fang Yuan is willing to get to know me, then I would be truly happy. My cheeks flushed and I quickly averted my gaze. The decor in here is really in the Mediterranean style. My voice suddenly trembled at the end. Lin Kaiwei stood up and came over, gently kissing my lips. Sorry, I wanted to finish the kiss by the rock of love. Lin Kaiwei smiled and sat back down. Her gaze still lingered on my lips. My cheeks were burning up. A heart was pounding in my chest. Lin Kaiwei smiled in front of me, looking at me seriously and gently. Excuse me, Mr. Fang, can you be my boyfriend? I smiled and nodded, but just then... No. A soaking wet Xia Qingshui gripped my wrist tightly, causing the wine glass in my hand to fall to the ground in shock. Lin Kaiwei stood up abruptly, looking at Xia Qingshui angrily. Let him go. But Xia Qingshui still turned to me. Fang Yuan, I know everything now. Xiaqiang and I were just arranged by the plot. The person I've truly loved all along has always been you. Lin Kai Wei's angry gaze turned to shock. Then it turned to pity for Xia Qingshui. Are you crazy? Lin Kai Wei grabbed the front of Xia Qingshui's clothes. Xia Qingshui still only looked at me. Fang Yuan, the system told me everything. I'm sorry, I will make it up to you. My previous feelings for Xia Qiang were all required by the plot. But actually, I love you too. A flash of contempt appeared in my eyes. Xia Qingshui, why would you assume I would still love you? Xia Qingshui stared at me intently. You left me because of the plot's constraints. The system just told me. It won't appear anymore. There's nothing stopping us anymore. I shook my head. I left you simply because I had lost all hope. I walked over to Lin Kai Wei's side and took her hand. I loved you for 15 years. You also pushed me away for 15 years. Now I have a new life, a new love. And yet you come running back here, telling me to continue loving you. Looking at Xia Qingshui's pale face, a hint of sarcasm crossed my face. Xia Qingshui, I don't love you anymore. Please leave my life and don't come back. Seeing this, Lin Kai Wei let go of Xia Qingshui. Perhaps to you and the old Fang Yuan, I was just an outsider, but now he has chosen me and entered my life. I can no longer stay out of it. Lin Kai Wei's eyes seem to be covered in a layer of ice. This is the last time I'm asking you to leave. If you come to disturb our lives again, it won't be so simple to end things. Lin Kai Wei took my hand again and we left side by side. Xia Qingshui stood frozen in place. Her fingertips clearly still held my warmth, but she could no longer be by my side. So this is what it felt like when she helped Xia Qiang leave, leaving me alone in a pool of blood. My heart hurt that much back then. Xia Qingshui slowly knelt on the ground, shards of glass piercing her knees. It doesn't hurt at all, does it? Xia Qingshui just mumbled to herself, even if everything I did wasn't from the heart. But the hurt I left you with was real. The tourists and waiters in the tavern looked at her in horror, but no matter how the waiter beside her asked, Xia Qingshui just stared blankly at the ground, dazed and speechless. Fang Yuan, our next destination is set for Spain. Lin Kai Wei stopped walking. I'm just afraid you're no longer in the mood to continue the trip. I'm sorry, Kai Wei. I looked apologetic. I originally promised to spend the whole vacation with you. Lin Kai Wei smiled. Then can I invite you to my home to spend the rest of the vacation with my family? Lin Kai Wei pulled me into her arms. Fang Yuan, don't be sorry. None of this is your fault. I closed my eyes, hugging Lin Kai Wei tightly, gently inhaling the faint scent of fresh grass on her. It's just that. Lin Kai Wei hesitated. Does that person have some sort of mental problem? All this talk about plots and systems? I chuckled in Lin Kai Wei's arms. Lin Kai Wei laughed along, the light wind brushing through her hair. If that young lady needs it, I can introduce her to a neurologist I know. Kai Wei. My fingertips touched Lin Kai Wei's cheek. Lin Kai Wei looked up straight at me. If the world we're in is really just a novel plot born from someone's pen, and all the plots are just controlled by someone else, would you still love me? My fingertips trembled slightly. Lin Kai Wei sensed my unease. Her warm palm caressed my fingers. She smiled and nuzzled my palm. I don't know if the world we live in is real or fake. The only thing I can be sure of is when I saw you for the first time. Lin Kai Wei met my gaze. Her heart was pounding like a drum. When I saw you by the fountain in Rome, I chose to walk towards you. When I saw you crying at Guero Cafe, I chose to hug you. When I danced with you at Castel Sant'Angelo, I chose to confess my feelings to you. A gentle smile lit up Lin Kai Wei's eyes. All of this, every step I took closer to you, I confirm it all came from my own choice, from my heart. Lin Kai Wei placed my hand over her heart. The heart inside was beating rapidly as if telling me, none of this is fake. I don't care if the world is fake or not, or if the plot is prearranged. The only thing I care about is the love I have for you right now. Lin Kai Wei's face slowly moved closer, her long butterfly-like eyelashes brushing against my forehead. Lin Kai Wei gently pecked my lips, like a dragonfly skimming the water. I didn't push her away as if giving my consent. Lin Kai Wei suddenly held the back of my neck and gradually deepened the kiss. Then Lin Kai Wei left a light kiss on my lips, reluctantly letting me go. My face was flushed. Lin Kai Wei looked at me innocently, apologizing. I've never had experience kissing anyone before. I don't know if that made you uncomfortable. I looked up. Kai Wei, this isn't your first kiss, is it? Lin Kai Wei smiled freely before me. That's right, this is the first time I've kissed someone. You are also the first boy I've ever liked. Looking at Lin Kai Wei before me, my heart pounded. But luckily, the first boy I liked has already been successfully pursued by me. Lin Kai Wei took my hand, smiling like a winner. So, boyfriend, can I invite you to my home to spend the rest of the vacation? Lin Kai Wei winked at me. After getting my agreement, she laughed happily. Xia Qingshui woke up in a hospital bed. Beside her was Xia Qiang with a gloomy expression. Xia Qiang, why are you here? Xia Qingshui, you don't even call me a Qiang anymore. Xia Qiang looked grimly at Xia Qingshui, who was lying on the hospital bed. Xia Qingshui didn't know how to explain, so she turned her head away, not looking at him. You should go. I will transfer 5 billion to your bank card. Xia Qiang laughed coldly. First, you gave Fang Yuan 5 billion for him to leave you. Now you're giving me 5 billion for me to leave you. Xia Chang's laughter was particularly jarring in the quiet hospital room. Our president Xia really has nothing but money. Xia Qingshui frowned deeply. Xia Qiang, I have wronged you. Forced love is not sweet. I can't not face my own heart. You're really making me laugh. Sometime, a sharp knife suddenly appeared in Xia Qiang's hand. The blade reflected Xia Qingshui's suddenly pale face. With lightning speed, the tip of the knife was already at Xia Qingshui's neck. I'm asking you one more time, the last time. What did you come here for? Xia Qingshui frowned. I came to find Fang Yuan to apologize. The cold blade lightly grazed her neck. Why did you leave me to find Fang Yuan? After a moment of silence, Xia Qingshui replied, because I suddenly realized I don't love you. The person I've always loved is Fang Yuan. The blade cut a bloody line on Xia Qingshui's neck. Why not obediently come back to my side? The system has told me everything. If you come back to my side, I will continue to take care of you as before. Let's just forget everything and continue to live together as before. Wouldn't that be good? You already knew about the system's existence? Xia Qingshui said in surprise. A tear hung on Xia Qiang's chin. His eyes were filled with coldness. It said you were originally my female lead. We were supposed to be together forever, becoming the two happiest people in this novel, but you went back on your word. You betrayed the promise between us. For a supporting character, you abandoned me. Hatred gathered in Xia Qiang's eyes. He stabbed at Xia Qingshui's neck. Xia Qingshui gripped Xia Qiang's wrist tightly and ruthlessly threw him to the ground. The sharp knife fell to the floor, making a harsh clanging sound. You're insane, Xia Qingshui said angrily. Her hand pressed tightly against the wound on her neck. Large drops of blood seeped through her fingers. Xia Qiang sat on the floor and burst out laughing. Xia Qingshui, Fang Yuan was also injured in his main artery before. I wonder if you'd be as lucky as he was to be saved. Xia Qingshui hurriedly pressed the call bell by the bed. Do you know what I asked the system for before it left? Looking at Xia Qingshui's panicked face, Xia Qiang smiled with satisfaction. I asked for 30 minutes. I asked the system to isolate this hospital room from all outside contact for 30 minutes. Looking at Xia Qiang's crazed face, Xia Qingshui backed away in terror. I didn't know you were this kind of person, Xia Qiang said. What right do you have to say that to me? You could have clearly chosen not to love Fang Yuan and loved me instead, or you could have completely followed the plot's trajectory. Xia Qiang continued. But you kept me by your side to force Fang Yuan away, while saying the person you loved was Fang Yuan. Then you threw me away. Blood seeped endlessly from between her fingers. Xia Qingshui's consciousness grew increasingly dim. I want you to die in front of me. Xia Qingshui's voice was weak. Xia Qiang gave a pale smile. I want you to experience my pain. A fickle woman like you who betrays her lover doesn't deserve a good ending and is even less worthy of the female lead position. Xia Qiang's face grew blurry. Xia Qingshui fell to the ground. Xia Qiang picked up the sharp knife from the floor, stepped on Xia Qingshui's body, and stabbed her repeatedly. It hurt so much. Xia Qingshui's thin lips trembled slightly. Memories of the past slowly appeared before her eyes. The me from childhood, the me from my youth, were saying something in front of her. She wanted to hear our words clearly, chasing after us, but she could never catch up. It was as if she tripped over something and fell to the ground, tormented to death by her. The me from my past life lay on the ground, warmth radiating from the corpse. I suddenly opened my eyes and slowly stood up. My pale skin peeled off in patches with every movement. My milky white eyes stared at her. I stomped her under my foot. I don't know when a sharp knife appeared in my hand. I don't love you anymore. I hate you. And at this moment, the illusion of me gradually overlapped with the figure of Xia Qiang before her. We held sharp knives in our hands and mercilessly stabbed towards Xia Qingshui, who was lying on the ground, following Xia Qiang's hate-filled screams. He had ended Xia Qingshui's life with his own hands. Xia Qiang fell into a pool of blood, his hand trembling. He slowly brought the knife to his own neck. He looked at the countdown clock on the wall, 0015. I don't want to love you anymore. Xia Qingshui's voice was almost inaudible. Xia Qiang raised his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. He once had a dream. In that dream, he was the poor but resilient intern, Xia Qiang. In that dream, he didn't meet Xia Qingshui. He relied on his talent and hard work, earning the appreciation of his superiors, and was promoted step by step. He eventually became the youngest male CEO in the company's history. Later, he met the person he loved, had a complete and happy family, and in the arms of his children and grandchildren, he passed away peacefully. He gratefully closed his eyes, slowly fell to the ground, his consciousness gradually fading. Goodbye, Xia Qingshui. I, Xia Qiang, must go live my own life now, Xia Qiang muttered. Lin Kaiwei and I returned to Paris. The two of us stood before a magnificent and splendid villa. Beautiful roses bloomed in front of the villa, making this French-style mansion even more striking. The villa's door slowly opened, and a woman in a Chinese cheongsam stepped out. We finally get to meet Fang Yuan. Our whole family has been curious, the Fang Yuan that Ning Bing always talks about. We finally get to meet you today. The auntie smiled and took my hand. Now that I've met you, Fang Yuan, I can't help but like you already. Come on in. The auntie quickly led me in, then suddenly slapped her forehead. Oh no, the food is still on the stove. After saying that, she hurried away. A Bernese mountain dog heard the sound and ran over, excitedly running circles around me. Then it obediently lay down in front of me, placing its large paw on the top of my shoe. Dudu continuously sniffed my fingertips. Suddenly, it affectionately lunged into my arms. The weight of a full-grown dog is really not something I can handle. I was pushed to the ground by Dudu. Dudu, seeing this, Lin Kaiwei quickly pulled Dudu away. Unexpectedly, while hugging Dudu, I started crying. Wrong. It's been so long since I've felt the warmth of a dog. I instinctively thought of wrong. Dudu saw me crying and paced around anxiously, thinking it had hurt me. I kept comforting Dudu until it finally stopped. It used its tongue to lick away the tears on my face. I laughed and repeatedly begged for mercy. Lin Kaiwei helped me up, smiling helplessly. I wonder if Fang Yuan is used to my family. I smiled and hugged Lin Kaiwei tightly. I really like your family. It's very warm and lively. The uncle got off work early to come home, and as soon as he opened the door, he gave me a warm hug. He was a tall, handsome French man. His azure eyes were just like Lin Kaiwei's. It's almost time for dinner. Why isn't Ru Shui back yet? The auntie placed a plate of food on the table, looking at the clock in the house. Lin Ru Shui is my older sister. She's a sculptor. She recently opened a sculpture exhibition in Paris, so she's probably a bit busy. Lin Kaiwei looked at me apologetically. Her fingers traced over my fingertips, massaging them. A young woman rushed into the dining room. When her eyes swept over me, they lit up. So you're my brother-in-law. You're really handsome. Before I could react, Lin Kaiwei gently pushed Lin Ru Shui's hand away to rescue me. Lin Ru Shui quickly put her hands on her hips and pointed at Lin Kaiwei's forehead. You're the one who shouldn't interfere with me and my brother-in-law building our bond, okay? Looking at the boisterous family in front of me, my heart felt as if it was being filled. The auntie was afraid I wouldn't be used to French food, so she specially made a table full of Chinese dishes. The uncle ate the Chinese food cooked by the auntie with great emotion. Fang Yuan, it's a good thing you came. It's been a long time since we've had your auntie's Chinese cooking. I really miss this taste. Lin Ru Shui was focused on getting food and more rice. It's been a long time since I've had Chinese food too. I've been craving it to death. Lin Kaiwei beside me smiled at me. Are they being too dramatic? I shook my head repeatedly. This is probably the image of a family I've always had in my heart. The whole family happily enjoyed the dinner cooked by the auntie. After dinner, Lin Ru Shui went to turn on the TV in the living room. Yesterday, a man and a woman. 2 bodies were discovered at the Paris Public Hospital. In Hospital Room 1309, according to the preliminary examination by the Paris Police Forensic Department, the murder weapon was a sharp knife found at the scene. Lin Ru Shui turned off the TV and muttered, "Security in Paris has been really worrying lately. What's wrong?" Lin Kaiwei led me over and asked Lin Ru Shui, who looked unwell. Lin Ru Shui sighed. It's nothing. 2 bodies of Chinese people were discovered at the Paris Public Hospital. It seems one was the president of a large domestic corporation. I think their surname was Xia. I frowned. A Chinese person with the surname Xia? Lin Kaiwei looked at me worriedly. Fang Yuan, is it someone you know? I shook my head. They're not important people anyway. Lin Kaiwei took me to my bedroom. Just as I was about to close the door, it was stopped by Lin Ru Shui's hand. Fang Yuan, you should just stay here. Lin Ru Shui smiled at me from the doorway. The auntie also smiled at me. We won't disturb the world of you and Ning Bing. My face flushed, and Lin Kaiwei quickly said, Mom, sis, don't tease Fang Yuan anymore. Lin Kaiwei pushed the 2 of them out of her room's door. You 2 are being too dramatic. Parents in China are all very reserved. The auntie covered her mouth in surprise. Oh, sorry. Ning Bing, this is the first time you've brought a boyfriend home. We're just too happy. Lin Kaiwei quickly ushered them away. Even the uncle and Dudu, who were eavesdropping, were ushered away too. Fang Yuan, I've made a fool of myself. She stepped forward and hugged me tightly as I sat on the chair. Not at all. I really like your aunt and uncle, and your sister too. Lin Kaiwei buried her head in my shoulder and said dejectedly, Then what about me? My hand stroked Lin Kaiwei's soft hair. Of course I like Kaiwei too. I'm just too happy. Lin Kaiwei's eyes were filled with desire. The next second, I took the initiative. I kissed Lin Kaiwei's lips, our tongues intertwined as I turned her around. Lin Kaiwei held me in her arms, whispering a French love song in my ear. The beautiful rose blooms. The little skylark begins to sing. I walk with my lover under this moonlight and I close my eyes in peace. Lin Kaiwei and I will never be apart again.